Welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast with Don and Suzanne Manning. Parents, what if we could give you the power to transform your family into something absolutely amazing?
A family where everyone is healthy, gets along, loves Jesus, and has great purpose in life.
Hey, let us flip your thinking to unlock the power God has given you to create your own Crazy Cool family.
Hello, all you crazy cool people. I am Suzanne. That's who I am. And I have McKenzie with me, my youngest daughter, McKenzie Manning, soon to be McKenzie Riem.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, August 7th, McKenzie is going to say I do to her fella, and we're super excited. We've been up to our eyeballs in wedding planning, and we have her in town, and Macy's like, hey, Kenzie's amazing. You need to get her on some podcasts. And I think you've got a list of like 10 you're supposed to do, but I think we'll only get to this one. But pre-wedding. This one's pre-wedding. And so we're super excited to share with you. What we want to talk about is just the power of play. And I just think it's the perfect time for us to talk about this because we're right in the middle of summer, literally halfway. We've already had a month of summer. It's halfway through July. And so what do we do in the summer but we play at home all day long? And sometimes I think even as mamas, we get tired of all the play, or we get caught up in no, we need to work more and play less. And so I just want to talk about that while our kids are not in school and they are practicing their play muscles, I actually loved it. I love summertime when y'all could just play, when you could go up into the game room. We had one just giant room in the last house that we were in that was just a constant dollhouse or a constant playhouse or a constant, and when the boys got bigger, it was a Lego minefield is what it was. And I love that, where they would just play all day and they would come down and eat and they would go back and play again. But I think sometimes as parents, we think that play is, play. Oh, just go play. All you do is ever play. And what Kenzie's learning is, and she's going to share with us, is that play is actually very powerful for our kids. It's formative, and it's a lot more than just play to them.
Yeah, so I just took a class this last semester called Play Therapy, and the reason why I took this class is so I can work with kids in the profession I'm wanting to go into, which is counseling. And the main theme or mantra of play therapy is that with children, play is their language and toys are their words. And so actually when your kids play, they are trying to communicate and articulate what is going on inside of them and around them. And so as you see your kids playing, you are watching them articulate what's happening in their little minds. So that's just a little nugget / anthem to say to yourself as your kid is playing that, this is their language, and the toys that I give them are actually giving them vocabulary to play with.
Yeah, and so just talking about toys specifically, what should kids play with?
Kids should play with so many different things, but
plethora is the word that comes to mind.
If you look up play therapy, there are multiple different categories of toys, which this is way more on the therapy counseling side than the
normal
play
of our kids.
In that, it's really helpful for them to have toys that they see in everyday life. And so having cash registers and dolls and a plethora of different kinds of dolls and cars and things that they see often, because they will use them to express and process what they're seeing in the world as they play with these different toys. And having different animals are really helpful, and all of the different...
What do you, like real animals or stuffed animals?
Both. Any of it. That's where creativity gets to come in. I use different words than Macy, Madeline, and Molly do, and so I can use different toys than they do. And so it's even helpful to take them through the toy section and say, what do you want to get? So then they can even start articulating to you in the toy section, these are the toys that I want to speak with. These are the toys that I communicate through.
Well, and I think about Truett and Sebastian, our grandsons right now, and Truett is all about the sports. In any sports, even if I take him to the store, anything that I buy him, it's we always come home with a ball, and he's got 50 balls, but he comes because that's the language that he's the most confident in, the most comfortable in. That's where he loves it. He'll go from basketball to baseball to softball to hockey to golf. I mean, all within a 10-minute range. And then contrast that with Sebastian. Sebastian is all about the little people and the characters and the vehicles, and you put the things in there, and he makes the helicopter sound choo 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 and the fire truck sound ear ear ear, and he does all the different things. And so that's just interesting to even think that that's their language.
And with that too, as they play with each other, Sebastian starts to love the balls that Truett plays with, and then Truett loves to play with the trucks that he plays with, and they like mutually share in the appreciation of the toys and the words that they've used in their own homes as they share with each other.
Wow. And so that's how they build their little vocabulary and yet grow stronger, even in that community and interacting with each other. And so even just parents out there, as you're listening, that inviting a kid over to play, or inviting a cousin over, or somebody that's outside of what your children have collected as their toys and their vocabulary, to expand that, to have somebody else come play with them. That's good. And so how can kids play well? What does that look like? Because I feel like that sometimes when y'all were little, I would send you up there and all you would do would fight and argue and complain, or you would come downstairs and say the sentence, "Mommy, I'm bored. What can we do?" And so how do we encourage kids to play well?
It's a great question. I think it starts with stewarding respect, and that's one side of it. And then also you playing with them too. And so
all the mamas are going, what? Okay, tell us the value of that.
Yeah, the value of playing with your kids is that they don't know what they don't know. And so you coming and giving them your attention, them saying that they're bored, is probably meaning, I want to spend time with you. I want to connect with you. I want to know you. You are busy. So I want, which goes back to the first idea, is this idea of mutual respect of, as the parents, we often rule our children's lives. I don't have kids. You own your children's lives. And so with that, there's not this mutual respect of you can choose things, I can choose things. You're a human, I'm a human. And so with that, they often get bored because they don't feel like they have autonomy of what they can do and being creative in their places. And so how you can steward autonomy is by coming into their little world and speaking their language and playing with and using their words in order to help them know, oh, I didn't even know that I could play with this word in this way. I didn't even know that I could use this toy in this way. Wow, my mom, my dad are incredible, and they have so many words and so many ways of doing things. And then it starts to build this respect of, wow, you choose to come and speak my words. Okay, I'll speak your words whenever I actually know them, whenever I get older. And so that's the value of playing with your kids. And I would recommend using the word, in this space you get to choose, because there's so many spaces that you're making decisions for them.
Like,
so,
put your shoes on, eat this, go to bed, brush your teeth. And so you're telling them what to do all the time. And so you're saying that when you join your kids' world, which is what we're talking about, joining them in their play and their work, to let them run the show, let them lead.
Yeah, and simply saying the statement of like, hey, actually you get to choose, could be something they've never heard before in their whole life. And so look at what happens in them. Like they might feel this like distraught of like, oh, I don't know how to do it. You make all my decisions. And if you see that happening, that's going to happen when they're 25 too. And so, you want to start today in a very safe environment for them to make a decision and even see the consequence of their decision. And so before you go into lecture mode too, instead play it out with them and see what happens at the end of it. And another side note is parents who have more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kids, I would recommend playing intentionally with each of your kids to some degree in some way to figure out their language, because you can work a lot less if you actually know how to communicate with your kids. And that's why it's so valuable to play with them when they're 2, 3, 4, 5, because you're picking up their language and knowing how to communicate with them.
Wow, I love that you're speaking their language. And so that's what I was thinking about as well, is that I know I played with Molly and Madeline, but I don't think I played with the rest of you. I think that then I just kind of passed it on. I had my older kids play with the younger kids, but I'm very much playing with my grandkids now. And so to even just think through that and go, oh, wow, Mom, I mean, Suzanne talking to myself and then Mom talking to you and Dad talking to you, that it is valuable to take that time. And sometimes I think that I know for me, I was busy running around. When y'all talk to me about my being a mom, you're like, I just saw you're busy, Mom. You're always cooking dinner or doing the laundry or doing something all the time. And so I appreciate and value that you're saying something different, Kens. You're saying stop and play individually with each of your kids, because it's more than just play to them.
Yeah, most likely if your children are coming down because of an argument, often it's because they're not speaking each other's language. And so if you understand, oh, this is how this kid articulates things, oh, this is what this kid values, this kid cares about this, then you can teach each other, hey, actually, Michael really likes it whenever he wins. And so, yeah, that makes sense that he's sad because you beat him 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
So how can we set it up to where he can win because he likes that? And like speaking into it more than just like, stop arguing, get over yourselves. It's like, no, actually their playing is teaching them how to manage conflict with their siblings. And so figure out what the kid actually cares about and then respond, not just punishing the older child or getting onto the younger one for complaining, but looking at what are you trying to say through your play right now and how can we figure it out?
Oh, that's so good. And so I want to circle back around a little bit to independent play. How do we, you talked about the value of us as moms and dads playing with our kids, engaging with them. I know that Dawn would come home from work every day and go out in the front yard and y'all would play soccer or you would play basketball or anything to interact with each other. But what about those times that we got to get something done as a mom? How do we encourage that independent play so that our kids are a success and they're in their world and they're building their vocabulary? What is it that we do to encourage that?
Yeah, so you are the main culture setter for your children. And so the environment that you set is what they live in, which feels like
that's good.
But knowing that it's okay for them to get bored. That's okay. That's actually.
What did I hear the other day? That creativity comes out of boredom.
Yes.
Right?
So
boredom is actually we're not bored nowadays anymore. We're always too busy to be bored.
Yeah. And so the space to be bored is actually beautiful. And so even saying that to them of, oh, you're bored right now?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Congratulations. Okay. What's going to come out of this? Like you have so much beauty inside of you. One of the things I've been loving referring to people as is universes. And so thinking of like your children as universes, and whenever they get bored, it's because they've reached a brink of the universe. And so now it's time for a new endeavor. It's a new discovery, a new adventure, a new understanding of, okay, you have these minutes as a child. There's so many of these minutes in your life. Let's make the most of them and use your boredom to.
And you're as complicated and complex as the universe. It's so there's so much in there that you haven't come to the end of your rope at all. You've just come to the end of this. So press on and move forward. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And create a space of brainstorming with your children as young as you can, to saying, oh, you don't know what to do? Okay, well, there's this option. Do you have any options in mind? Oh, you could draw. Okay, you also have a bike. You could use that. And so instead of responding to their boredom with, yeah, go figure something out, be a problem solver and knowing, oh, these are all the things I've set up for you so that when you get bored, you can work on drawing, you can work on these things and play through these different things.
And I think that even with that, the thing that comes to mind is when they do come to you and they're bored, that might be a trigger, like you said earlier, that they need some mama time. They need some attention. They need some. And so you might just take 5 or 10 minutes and say, you know what, I'm bored doing the dishes too. Let's sit down and do something together and fill each other's little cup up, or include them. You know what, I'm bored too, but I think together we'd have a lot more fun if we finish whatever task that you're working on. And so I think that that's valuable too, as we talk about play and we talk about summertime, including your kids in your world and then joining them in their world. Yeah. And so I guess I just we talked about what kids should play with. What are some things that you remember from your childhood that built you and your vocabulary and who you are? And because you are very different, because I feel like the sisters played one thing and the brothers played another thing. And where McKenzie lines up is she's got 3 big sisters and 3 little brothers. And so you bridged the gap so well between the brothers and the sisters. And so just share with everybody, what are some things that you remember playing with?
I think one of the most formative things is that I played with my siblings. And so because I had Macy above me and Michael below me, I was playing with Legos and American Girl dolls with Macy, and then Legos with Michael, and Rescue Heroes with Michael, but Barbies with Macy. And so I really did get to use a lot of different things for my words. And so for parents who are like afraid of their kids playing with not gender specific toys, like any toy is a helpful thing to communicate with. And so don't be fearful if your kid is using a toy that you're like, whoa, what? No, that's like totally, it's okay to let your kids express with whatever toys that currently they're curious about they're using. And so with that, for me, everything was an opportunity to express or communicate. And I think that it was more playing with my siblings was a bigger.
Well, and I think about like life skills, like some of the things you were saying earlier when we were talking about getting a cash register, and like Sebastian has a trash truck to play with, and just getting those almost real life, a broom and a mop that's their size, or little dishes that are their size, or building blocks or superheroes, just the different things that they can engage in to it's almost practicing adulting a little bit.
For sure.
And so to get to play with those different toys and see that is, I don't know, like I feel like that Madeline wants to have 6 kids because when she was a little girl, she played with dollies all the time. And I know that was my story. I know that that's what I did.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about technology a little bit in this world. I think that sometimes as parents, it's so hard to compete with technology that superhero figurines are not near as fun as watching the movie or playing a video game where you can interact in that. And so what is the classes that you're taking saying about technology, and what's because I think you were way more technology than the girls were, but not near as much technology as the boys.
Yeah, so I could do a whole nother podcast on gaming and technology and based
we
on
will
what I'm
at
learning.
Some point.
Yes, because it's a whole nother world. And so with that, with your little people, especially younger than like 10, 11, their craving is to play. Like that is what they desire and want to do. And so what you're teaching them whenever you put a screen in front of them is this is how you entertain yourself. But whenever you play with them, this is saying this is how you develop yourself, and this is the real world. And so as helpful as the screens are to give them exposure to things that they don't yet know, when they play with actual physical toys, it is teaching their brains and their hands and their whole bodies how to like play with something.
To interact, literally.
Yeah, to interact.
To feel it, taste it, see it,
And the kinesthetic learner to look on a screen is not getting what they need. And all people benefit from learning from multiple senses. And so whenever you're seeing and hearing from a screen, yes, that's helpful, but it's just worth it to figure out how to let your kids play. And so parents who are having a hard time keeping their boundaries for when the kids watch and when the kids don't, just keep it up. Like, just know that the minutes that the kids spend not watching a screen will be more marking than those whenever they do. And so they'll think, yeah, I remember all those Blippi episodes that I watched. Oh, but do you also remember that time whenever we played outside and made up this game and it was so much fun? They could have made up that game one time but watched thousands of Blippi episodes, and they would remember this memory, honestly, I would say more than the hours that they watched.
Yeah, that's so good. So no condemnation, no judgment, no conviction, but just, and you know it, we know it as parents, that it's much more valuable for them to have an interactive play with something and someone and not a screen. And so that's good. Okay, Kins, is there anything else that we need to know that I've not touched base on that you've learned in your play class to inspire and encourage our parents to, one, play with their kids, and two, and help their kids play, and see that. I love the flip on it, that it's kids work, it's kids vocabulary, it's their language, it's building them and who they are. And I love how seriously they take it. They're so
Yeah. The last thing I would just say is that it's important for you to play too. And so,
yeah, that's good.
If you're finding it hard to play with your kids, then have fun. Like, go do something that you have fun with. And if you're only using words to articulate, if you're having a hard time articulating, like, grab some toys and try to tell your husband how you're feeling in the middle of your fight. Use your toys. It's like, it's so helpful to be like, good. You're being like a cheetah right now, and I need you to be like this teddy bear, and I don't know what to do. Use good. The toys to play and articulate too, because it will give you greater perspective.
Oh, that is so good. I absolutely love that. And I just think it's so valuable for us to know as parents that our kids want to have fun with us. They want us to be fun, and they want us to play with them. And if you just say, hey, I think I want to play today, watch them light up. They will love it. And if you don't want to play what they're playing, if they're really, like Don did not love playing Barbies with the girls. And so he found something that he loved playing, and he was so good at playing. He was so good at coming home and playing with you guys. And so find something that you guys, that you think is fun. I mean, even a bike ride, going to I sit out in the backyard and play with the grandbabies, and we play with little bulldozers and rocks, and they absolutely love it. And there's just something that is so, I don't even know, what is it, soothing to the soul, maybe, to play, to color. Macy sat down and painted the other day, water painted, and she was like, oh, wow, this is so helpful to this is so satisfying.
Yeah.
And so I just think as parents, we need to understand that play is good for our kids. It's good to join them, and it's actually good for us.
And it's not a waste of your time or theirs.
It's not. Remember that. It's not. It's an investment in you and in your time. Okay, and so anything else? Okay, so I just want to wrap us up with just Ecclesiastes. I actually love the book of Ecclesiastes, where it says meaningless, but that's not the one I'm quoting today. The one that I want to talk about is Ecclesiastes 3:1-8, and I'm not going to read all of it, but it's going to be familiar because you're going to know it. But it's for everything there is a season, a time for everything under heaven, and then it just goes on to say a time to be born, die, plant, pluck, planted, kill, heal, break down, build up, weep, goes through all the things. But I just want you to know that this is the time. For everything there's a season, and your kids are only little for so long. And you're only going to get to play with them for so long. You're only going to get to learn the language that they are playing, that they are living with as they live under your roof. You've only got so many summers with them. And so I just want to encourage you to invest in this season, and invest in playing with them, and invest this summer in getting to know them at a new level on their playing field. All right. Thanks, Ken. Thanks for being our local expert.
Woo woo.
All right. Go be crazy. crazycoolfamily.com.